Thank you very much, Representative Malloy. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes for questions. Ms. Peabody, do you think veterans should have agency in their healthcare choices? Should the veteran or the government decide what type of healthcare is best for them?
Thank you for that question. Yes.
I recently spoke with a veteran who was told by the VA he'd have to wait 3 months for an in-person primary care appointment, but could be seen by telehealth in 2 weeks. The veteran hadn't been to the doctors in years and wanted to be seen in person, but couldn't wait 3 months. Your testimony suggests that this individual shouldn't be eligible for community care. Is that correct, or am I misinterpreting what you said?
I'm happy to take that question. So in that case, we would want to make sure that we're not unduly delaying that veteran's care, understanding that if he or she has not been in for care, you're right, Dr. Miller-Meeks, there could be some issues there. So we would want to have the conversation with the veteran. Often we find that the information is delivered and perhaps there wasn't bidirectional communication. So in that case, we would love to make sure we're doing what we need to do for that veteran. If that's an actual patient.
It's an actual patient, actual story.
If you could pass that on to us, we'd like to help.
And thank you, Dr. Scavella. The access to care wait times that you mentioned earlier, Ms. Peabody, do you know if that is in-person care only or if that is combined in-person care with telehealth, which are vastly different and addresses this question I had earlier?
I would like to take that for the record. Fair question.
Okay, so if you can get back to us exactly the wait times on in-person visits, for requests for in-person visits, exactly the wait times for telehealth visits, and the combination, those two should be separated. I'm just going to mention, because I'm an ophthalmologist, I'm going to just follow up on Representative Malloy's question. If the VA wanted to handle this issue and it were a contractual issue, there are ways to do that, i.e., the veteran goes, gets their eye exam at a VA facility. In this case, it's a 500-mile round trip for the veteran in Ms. Malloy's district. They get their eye exam, they get their glasses, they have the prescription, they get their glasses through the contract that you have to get glasses at an attractive price for the VA and for the taxpayer. We appreciate that. However, why couldn't the veteran be given the option that in order to get we can mail you your glasses and then you can take them to somebody in the local community privately and pay for them to be fitted or adjusted? And especially our veterans have bifocals, so I can see why you want them to get fitted for their glasses, or you can come back to the VA. Either or, it's going to be less expensive for the VA if you're paying for travel for 500 miles round trip and a hotel for an overnight stay. So there's out-of-the-box thinking that you could have come to us, to Congress, to Representative Malloy and said, let's help you fix this problem, which it doesn't seem like you're intent on doing. So both as a veteran and as a doctor, to me, I find that there are multiple barriers put up to receiving community care. And quite frankly, veterans in our military strength, veterans go back to communities. They don't go back to VAs. They don't go back to military hospitals. They go back to a community. And that community may be miles and miles away from a VA facility. The care may be excellent. You may have high approval ratings for the care that you receive. But if you can't get that care, if it's 3 months to wait, and Dr. Scavella, if an individual had to wait 3 months for a primary care appointment, please tell me, and I've trained residents at VA hospitals, how in the world does that impact your training of residents? You're seeing the same number of patients. A 3-month wait only impacts the veteran. It doesn't impact the residency training program, does it? How does that?
I agree with you. And so I think in that case, we would have to look at what we were offering that veteran to make sure we were being, doing the appropriate thing. Oftentimes we'll have a discussion and there's a telehealth option available and a face-to-face option. And if the telehealth availability is sooner, often patients will accept that as an option as opposed to waiting. And the reason why we have that mismatch is not that we have folks opting to provide telehealth, but often we're level setting because of our shortage of physicians across the country. So there may be a clinician in 3 states over that's providing that care to that veteran. and they're able to provide it because they've got the availability.
But
And
that shouldn't, excuse me, that should not be a denial of community care because you can get the care 3 states away.
correct.
Which leads to the frustration. If you know, I did a bill as a state senator for schools as a site of service for behavioral health and mental health for children, but they had to have a face-to-face visit prior to having a virtual site of service off. So I can see the frustration veterans have if the response is, you know, 3 months for an in-person, but we can get you in telehealth. If the veteran doesn't want telehealth, or if he doesn't feel that's appropriate, he or she doesn't feel that's appropriate, then they should be offered the community care, and the barrier should not be put up to that. And I'm over my time, and since I was tapping everybody else out, I want to hold myself to the same standard. So thank you all very much. I appreciate your coming. On behalf of the subcommittee, I want to thank you for your testimony and joining us here today. You're now excused, and we'll wait for a moment as the second panel comes to the witness table.